All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is June 17, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I moderate and I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you for your subscriptions. I don't take that for granted. Try to provide actionable, profitable content every single day. Thank you, everybody out there in digital land. Thank you, cyber land, podcast land. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for finding the value in my content. Thank you for the kind words. Special shout out, Bob Jordan. Thank you so much. He's been with me for a long time. Appreciate that, Bob. Love the patience. Love the just the loyalty. I appreciate that. I'm honored. All right. So let's take a look at some. Let's take a look at how I made 2K today. All right, so you can see price action. We had kind of a 10-minute uptrend, kind of a flaky 10-minute uptrend right here. All right, not many candles, little flaky 10-minute uptrend and consolidated. Had a triple top right up here. All right, and this triple top resulted, well, we don't want that one. And this triple top gave way to lower lows. All right, triple top on the 5-minute or the 10-minute up top. So we moved up, consolidated, and then down. So we had calls right here, made some money on some calls coming up through here, and a 10-minute downtrend, okay, under VWAP. And this is where we make a lot of money, is when we see the trap and the 17 peel away from VWAP. All right, a lot of money can be made there. All you got to do is, for me, I just I buy puts. When the puts go up in value, I have orders waiting for them to get filled. When the puts pull back to the 3 and the 8, I reload them. All right, so you can see every time a candle pulls out, all right, I unload a few contracts, pulls back, I reload a few contracts. So that's makes it really easy. This chop right here moving sideways, it's very difficult. This looks like a breakout. It doesn't break out or continue. This looks like continuation, but it doesn't break out. And then this looks like continuation. This is very choppy through here, moving sideways to the right. And you lose a lot of money in the chop. The money's made right here when you see the 10-minute trend peel away from VWAP. That's where, for me, that's where the money is made. That's where the easy money is made, for instance. All right, so let's take a look at what happened today. So you can see the 10-minute uptrend there and the 10-minute downtrend here. All right, so let's pull this over. And let's get all the way to the top, real P&L. Okay, so I lost some money on some calls. I'm still holding a big portion of these calls. Okay, so bought some calls to sell into the rally up here. Kind of reloaded, sold into the rally, and of course, price came all the way back down. So didn't quite buy enough to get to break even. All right, so I was willing to take a loss on those calls, and I took a $3,250 loss on those calls. But I did manage to buy low and sell high. So I made money on these contracts. All right, made money on these contracts, but I didn't make money overall because I didn't bring my cost basis low enough for me to have a profitable trade. All right, so I needed to really add more in order to get a profitable trade. So I took a loss. And I'm willing to take that loss as long as I can sell the contracts that I purchase for a little bit more than what I bought them for. Okay, so then that's those. Then we got some puts, 590 puts. Those are 3 days till expiration. Made 321 on those. And you can see I bought the lows or the highs up here. Bought some puts up at the triple top and traded them down into the valley down here. So as price dipped, I took my profit. You can see my profits are taken right here. You see the candles when they rise up, I take profits into those. and then reload when price pulls back. Okay, so that's how I made 321 there. And then I had some 3 days till expiration 606 calls. These were a hedge. Okay, so this was these were short. So I had these short for my call position overnight. I just didn't want to, with everything going on with the riots and the global conflicts, I didn't want to be completely exposed. So I had some calls that I sold. I made some covered calls. In other words, I am holding the 605s and I sold the 606s. So if price does rally up to 606, my 605s will satisfy the call if they ask for calls to satisfy the ones that I sold. So I had plenty of 605s to satisfy that. So I sold these calls right here, managed to ink out about 1,500 on the calls, just buying the dip as the calls degraded in price right here. Sold these calls short. In other words, they're covered calls, okay? So I sold them short coming into this dip. Puts, 0 DTE, 598 puts. Bought some of those. It's not gonna. Here it is. And then sold into the dip. Bought some puts here. Saw that 10-minute downtrend. Excuse me. And then sold into the dip as price comes down. You can see the price of the put rallies up high. So I sold those puts into that dip. Same with these 595 0 DTEs. Bought the dips, all right, the pullbacks to the 8, and then sold as price flared away from that 8 EMA out past the 3 EMA. So I like to take profit when price gets out past the 3 EMA and then reload inside the trap or near the 8 or the 3 EMA right there. So I made 5,600 on those, 2,200 on the other puts. All right, let's take a look at the charts today. And let's take this off. Let's flip to a different account. Pull up the 10-minute chart of the SPY. You can see 10-minute is flat, just consolidating in a bear flag into the close. Okay, price moves down and over to the right. So that's a bear flag coming into the close, kind of indicating a possible second leg down lower. I don't know if the second leg's going to be as long as the first leg, but kind of indicating that we might have a second leg lower here. As you can see, this bearish engulfing candle, body to body bearish engulfing right there. Not quite covered the wick or the tail yet, but you can see price kind of moving down through that. So there's price action for SPY on the 10-minute, consolidating over to the right. So it's just flat. Excuse me. 2-hour chart. 2-hour, we got ourselves a downtrend. Let's take the game plan one. Okay, so let's take the 2-hour and let's take a clean chart. So we got a 2-hour downtrend coming into the close. Okay, 2-hour downtrend, 10-minute bearish flag coming into the close on the daily candle. Again, a lower high and a lower low, closing underneath a bullish trap over the rising 17. That's bullish up there. Look at it with the quad lines on here. You can see we're up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Okay, still making higher lows and higher highs, holding the higher ground. That's bullish. Up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's bullish. Price structure just kind of hanging out here in quadrant 4. Nice hold on SPY. Okay, whenever price makes higher lows and higher highs, it's an uptrend. That's always bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, always bullish on that. So what do I like? I like 10-minute uptrends. All right, over VWAP, because everything's bullish most of the time. Okay, we had just recently we're having a pullback. Okay, we're actually in a consolidation period. But I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP inside of 2-hour uptrends that are inside of daily uptrends that are inside of weekly uptrends or weekly candles that are moving up. and that are also inside of monthly uptrends that are also over the all-time high anchored VWAP. For me, that's the premium setup. That's the premium stack. That's what I like to trade, okay? So that's what we've been trading all through here. It's a rare opportunity to get all of that lined up together. It makes it very easy to trade. Those 10-minute uptrends tend to go further. Those 10-minute uptrends tend to last longer. Those 10-minute uptrends tend to have a higher win rate as opposed to going counter trend in an environment just like that. So there's SPY on the daily chart. Okay, so again, we traded the 10-minute downtrend under VWAP and the 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Okay, if you looked at the game plan, it was clearly outlined. You know, I'm looking to trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, breaking away. 10-minute downtrends under VWAP, breaking away. Okay, so you saw that we had red erases green right here. So you had an entry for red erases green right through here. You could have traded that down to this bear flag that we're currently in right now. Okay, so that was the SPY game plan this morning. I like 3 days and 10 days till expiration Friday options. They got more open interest. I like the multiples of 5. Okay, so in other words, 600, 605, 610. I like those strike prices. I like them $5 to $15 out of the money. It's less risk, but I don't get the performance as I would with an in-the-money call. Okay, if I had in-the-money calls or puts, I'll get much better performance than I will with out-of-the-money calls or puts because the deltas are less. All right, so when you got a high delta, you're going to get a higher percentage of performance. Okay, so you look for those deltas if you want more performance. Keep in mind you're taking on more risk, and you're going to be shelling out more money per share to buy those calls and puts. All right, so we had green erases red. We never got there. We never got over the pivot 601.60, and we had red erases green right here, right underneath 620. All right, and price action came underneath this VWAP right there. All right, so there's SPY. All right, on the 5-minute, let's just look at the 10-minute coming into the close. We got 3 minutes left. Looking like a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. Actually, it's just kind of flat. If you ask me, you're going up, you're over, you're up, you're over. You know, you're under, you're over. So it's just consolidation into the close. So there's SPY on the 10-minute. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ on the daily chart. All right, same as SPY. Lower high, lower low, closing under the bullish trap. Over the rising 17, that's bullish, okay? Under the uptrend line, okay? That's neutral. Up again in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Consolidation over prior consolidation, that's bullish, okay? So you get consolidation up here. It's kind of a bad one. You get consolidation up here, okay? Over prior consolidation, that's bullish environment, okay? Whenever you see that. Whenever you see bullish gap ups that are not filled by the bears, all right, that's a bullish environment. That's a bullish clue. That's a bullish clue. If the bears don't have the power to fill that bullish gap, that's a clue that the bears are weak and the bulls are much stronger than the bears. Okay, so you look for those gaps. You can see here's a big gap right here. There's a bullish gap not filled by the bears. There's a bullish gap not filled by the bears. There's another one right there. There's another one right here. Okay, all these bullish gaps. These are clues that the market is bullish. All right, there's QQQ. On top of that, you get consolidation over prior consolidation. That's bullish. All right, let's take a look at FNGB. Okay. A little bit different candle. Low is 21.23. Low is 21.31. So it's an inside day. That's a higher low and a lower high. Closing over a bullish trap. That's bullish. Closing over the 17. That's bullish. Up in quadrant 4. That's bullish. And look at the price structure. Okay, not just one candle. Let's look at what it's doing. Okay, price is moving up and it's holding the higher ground. See this? It's moved up and we're holding. See that latitude right up there? We're holding right up there in quadrant 4. That's a bullish environment. Okay? Whenever you get price moves up and then gives it up, that's neutral. Okay? It's bullish when you get this. Price moves up, holds the higher ground. Price moves up, holds the higher ground. Price moves up, holds the higher ground. These are the bullish clues right there. Okay? So you can see that's bullish. So you want to be bullish on the market when you see price action doing this kind of a performance, move up and hold the higher ground. Whenever you see price move up, give it up. That's neutral. That's like beware, okay? Could go either way. Could go south, could go north. We'll see what happens, all right? So there's FNGB. All right? So that is bullish up there, quadrant 4, that's bullish. Making higher lows, all right, and higher highs. Higher low. See, there's a low, we got a higher low. Higher lows and higher highs, holding the higher ground. Consolidation over prior consolidation. That's always bullish. All right, whenever you see price consolidate over prior consolidation, that's bullish, okay? Up over the uptrend line, that's bullish. Over the 17, bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, bullish. Up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Let's take a look at IWM. All right, IWM lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap. Closing under the 17, it's kind of neutral up there. Closing under the uptrend line. Okay, those aren't bullish events right there, okay? Those aren't bullish environments. Those are actually bearish to neutral environments. And you can see the price action is doing what kind of a move, okay? It's doing a move up, all right, and give it up. That's neutral, all right? See that? A move down, all right, and then give it up. That's neutral, okay? When you move down and go up and then go a little bit further up like they did here, that was bullish. But now notice they went up and they gave it up, all right? So that's just neutral right now. So that'd be neutral for SPY, IWM. My bad. Again, price is under the trap, that's bearish. Under the 17, that's kind of bearish. Under the uptrend line, that's kind of bearish. Under the all-time high anchored VWAP, I'm going to call it neutral, all right, because they're lingering right here on that all-time high anchored VWAP. So I'm going to call that neutral. You can see they're not in the upper third. They're not in the lower third, okay? If they were in the upper third, I'd say they're bullish. If they were in the lower third, I'd say they're bearish. So they're just kind of neutral here, hanging out at the midpoint of the quad lines right there. And you can see here's price action has moved down and given it up, okay? So you can see price moves down and gives it up, okay? So that's neutral right there, okay? If they give it up and more, that would be bullish, all right? Right now, just neutral. There's IWM. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, Diamond Dow closing in the upper third, so that's bullish. Not the best candle. Lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap. That's bearish. Under the 17, that's bearish. Under the uptrend line, that's bearish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Under the uptrend line, that's kind of bearish right there. Not broken yet. All right, but over the downtrend line, that's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's also bullish. In the upper third, also bullish. I do like the idea that price has moved up and consolidated at the higher ground up here. That's bullish right there. Okay, so Diamond Dow, bullish in an uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. Okay, that's bullish. If they take out, if they take out this low, all right, they will negate the uptrend and convert the downtrend. That would be bearish. Okay, so there's Diamond Dow. I like it. Price moving up, holding that higher ground. Let's take a look at our technicals, T2122. Oh, look at this. Okay, kind of hoping that price would pop out of here and make a higher high. It did not. Instead, we continued to melt off, all right, through the buyer's chop zone into the seller's chop zone. All right, so lower highs and lower lows. Okay, that's really not the sign we're looking for, but I must say we are overdue for a rest, okay, on T2123 and then the NYSE. Okay, we're way overdue for a rest, so I don't mind it hanging out here for a few days. Just don't linger down here for a couple weeks. That would be bad. T2123. That was T2122. All right, T2123. We got price action. You can see right here consolidating over prior consolidation. That's bullish. We're up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. We're up over a prior all-time high. That's bullish. Okay, making higher highs and higher lows. That's bullish. You got bullish gaps that aren't getting filled. That's bullish. Okay, let's take a look at, excuse me. Let's take a look at what's happening today. Okay, so let's zoom in here. A lot of profit taking. That's all I see. Okay, three green candle bars, and the rest of it's all red. Closing over the rising 200 SMA. That's still bullish up there. That's T2123. Notice price action still holding the higher ground. Okay, I like it. It's going up and over to the right. That's fine. All right, holding that higher ground. All right, let's take a look at 3-bar chart. It's the same product, just on a 3-bar chart. You can see price action is going to be doing the same, about the same thing. Okay, again, you're going to see consolidation over prior consolidation. That's bullish. Up over the 200 SMA. That's bullish. Okay, you can see we didn't make a higher low yet, but we have made higher highs. So there's a high there. You can see it's green because that would be the high. You can see we're making higher high because we're well above that high right there. So you can see price action right through here, okay, is over prior consolidation. We got some consolidation here. We're over that consolidation. That's bullish. We're over this consolidation. That's bullish. So price action kind of holding that higher ground. That's very bullish. Up over the 200 SMA. Always bullish when you see that happen. Up over a prior all-time high. That's bullish. T2123 3-bar. Again, 3 more green candle bars put in today. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, that's still looking good. All right, still looking strong. Let's take a look at FNGB. Again, FNGB moving up, holding the higher ground. That's bullish. And price action for the 17th. You can see buying from the beginning of the day, a little bit of selling. All in all, holding up over that 200 SMA. That's bullish. Okay, just moving up, holding the higher ground. Notice the bullish gap still hasn't gotten filled down here. Okay, holding that higher ground is still bullish. That's FNGB. Let's take a look at a few sectors. I'm going to wrap this up. My voice is going. First one, XLE. By the way, I bought silver calls today. Just want to let you know about that. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap. That's bullish. Over the 17, bullish. Over these 2 downtrend lines, that's bullish. Over tackling this all-time high anchored VWAP. That's neutral right there. Okay, that's actually tackling it is bullish, but they didn't get over it. But tackling it is neutral bullish up there. XLE. Okay, making higher lows and higher highs. Here's the question: can they hold the higher ground? Okay, they can move up, but are they going to give it up again, just like they always do? All right. Be nice to see them hold that higher ground for once. We'll see what happens. That's XLE. That's acting bullish. It's acting bullish. It's not in the upper third, so it's not bullish up there. It's not in the lower third, so it's not bearish. So it's just kind of neutral, hanging out right here at the midpoint. Let's take a look at USO. Wow, high flyer candle there. Higher low, higher high, closing over a trap over the 17. That's bullish. Quadrant 4, that's bullish. Again, nice high flyer here, but can you hold the higher ground? You can see they were up here before, they gave it up. They came up here before, they gave it up. Can they hold the higher ground again? That looks like, kind of looks like an exhaustion move there. Hopefully they can hold some sort, maybe pull back to the midpoint and hold that area. We'll see what happens. There's USO, quadrant 4, that's bullish. Okay, I got a feeling that the only reason this is bullish because we got some conflicts going along, happening globally, and I think there's a fear that there's going to be a disruption in the petroleum supply. All right, so I think that's part of the reason this is rallying right now. I think once things settle down, this may come down to the midpoint and maybe find a home down here somewhere. So there's USO on the daily chart. That's definitely bullish. Okay, up there over this 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's a post-COVID high right there. Okay, up over the downtrend line, that's bullish. Up in quadrant 4, it's bullish. Again, up over the trap and over the 17 is bullish. It's USO. UNG. Okay, UNG finally in an uptrend. Not a very high bar to set, but they finally made an uptrend. Higher low, higher high, closing. See, they made a higher high than this candle here. Over the 17, you can see price action closing over the bullish trap, over the 17, that's bullish. Over the uptrend line, that's bullish. Over the downtrend line, that's bullish. Over this 12-month high anchored VWAP. And let me just say, it's not a very high bar that's set. Okay, that 12-month, this is the all-time high, like 130. This 12-month high actually starts at $27, about right there. So you can see it's nothing fantastic. You know, we're not breaking any records here, okay? All right, it's like beating the kids at checkers, okay? That was not a hard limbo, you know, to get underneath. Okay, so there's UNG, not in the upper third, so it's not bullish, not in the lower third, it's not bearish. So just kind of neutral through here. Okay, exhibiting some bullish behavior. And I think a lot of that is due to the conflict. All right, let's take a look at silver. Like again, bought some silver today. Wish that I got it yesterday. You can see silver, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's a new 12-year high made today. You can see this is a prior 12-year high, so that's a new 12-year high for silver. Price action up over the trap, over the 17, that's bullish. Price action moving up. Like to see this hold a higher ground. You can see after a 5-day hold, what do you get? Get a nice pop. All right, like to see some follow through on that pop. There's the daily chart for silver. Up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Gold. Gold, lower high, lower low, closing in a bullish trap over the 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. All of that's bullish. Okay, up in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Over the uptrend line, it's bullish. Holding the higher ground, all that's bullish. Okay, gold is bullish. Silver, bullish. Okay, we're up there, quadrant 4, bullish. Let's take a look at SMH. I'm going to call this a day. Up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. You can see over the all-time high anchored VWAP, over the trap, over the 17, all of that's bullish. Price structure making higher lows and higher highs up there, that's bullish. Can they hold the higher ground? Notice how many times we came up here in the past only to get rejected, 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 rejected. It's like that commercial, you got ants, all right? Rejected, rejected. Okay, can they hold the higher ground this time? All right, there's SMH. We'll see what happens. All right, price is up there. Let me just say, Intel's looking good. All right, for those of you out there, look at Intel. It's a good-looking chart right now. Kind of flaring up, getting some heat going on that one. SMH, that's bullish up there. XLK yesterday put in a new all-time high. High is for 243.76. High today, 243.73. Okay, so it's at the all-time highs. Okay, nothing else needs to be said. Anytime that's happening, that's definitely bullish. All right, near the all-time high. All right, again, consolidating over prior consolidation. Up over the uptrend line, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Price structure looking fantastic. XLK. Let's take a look at XLF. All right, price structure moving up here, holding the higher ground. Quadrant 4, it's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, also bullish. Okay, if they happen to make a lower low here, below this low, they will negate the uptrend and convert to downtrend. Right now, they're in an uptrend. They're holding the highs. They're making higher highs. Made a higher low, made a higher high. Still haven't made a next higher high after making this higher low. So we'll see what happens. Consolidation over to the right. I like that. It's holding the higher ground. That's bullish. Let's take a look at IYT, last one. Not feeling so hot. All right, lower high, lower low, closing under the trap. Okay, it's bearish. Under the 17, bearish. Under the uptrend line, bearish. Under the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bearish. Okay. Again, under the all-time high. Notice not in the upper third, not in the lower third. Okay, so just kind of neutral. We are exhibiting some bullish behavior, okay, because we're holding the higher ground up here, all right, but we're really not, it's no show pony, that's for sure. Okay, so there's IYT, just holding the midpoint right here, okay. I guess I'll give them credit for that. At least they're not down here in quadrant 1 or quadrant 2. They are holding that higher ground. That is some bullish behavior, but not enough to say it's bullish, and I think we're ready to rock it and make some new highs. All right, so there's IYT. All right, that's it for me today. All right, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Thanks, Jim. Jim did great. Jim made some daily goals. Some others made some daily goals. I'm proud of all of you. Again, I can make profits, but it doesn't mean anything unless you guys make profits. And like I said, those 10-minute downtrends under VWAP, all right, 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. And by the way, let's discuss the consolidation pattern, okay? This is the consolidation pattern that we're in. Okay, so price moved up, back and forth, consolidated in here, made a higher low, and then ripped up here to 605. And I said, when we were down here, that I would expect price to consolidate. And then after it's done consolidating, I said, there's a good chance that we move up here and we consolidate again on top of it. And that's kind of exactly what we're doing right now. As you can see, price action moved up. And yesterday we pulled back to 600. You can see we got ourselves a little bit lower today. Okay, down to, I think, 597. So you can see price action. We'll get the gold out here. Gold right here. Gold arrow. Yeah, arrow. All right, so we're getting a little bit closer to our reversal area, which is going to be anywhere between 591, 592, 593, 594, and 595. All right, so we failed to make a higher high up here. Okay, when we were up there yesterday, I don't know if you remember yesterday. Okay, but we failed to make a higher high because this high is 605. Okay, so we made a high of 604 yesterday. Failure to make a higher high. Well, we rolled over, all right, to come back down here and test the lows. All right, so that's where we're headed, back down here to test the lows. Now, if we make a higher low, in other words, we fail to make a lower low, all right, we could see ourselves ripping back up here and testing the highs again, all right? A failure to make a lower low, a significant lower low, will typically result in price reversing and testing the highs again, okay? So we'll see what happens, and that's what the whole consolidation is. So here we are here, a little bit further along, and if you followed this, you probably made some money if you followed the whole game plan, knowing that price is probably going to pull back to 594, 593, and then price going to rip up to 605, pull back 593, and then looking for a reversal back up to this way, okay? So this is our consolidation map right there, and this is what we're trading. All right, so that's it for me for today. Thanks, everybody. Alan made, how many goals, Alan? Jim made 3 daily goals. Alan made some, I see some profits for Alan. I can't really open it. Let's see what we got here. Thanks for sharing. Alan, oh my God, Alan's up 14%. He's smoking hot, Alan. That was an awesome day. Wow. Wow. That's you floored me. Awesome. I love it. Okay. Would you say it was the 10-minute downtrend under VWAP? Nice trading. Nice trading. Really nice. Had to be patient, and he says yes. 10-minute downtrends under VWAP, 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. Way to go, Alan. Scott made some goals today. I think, didn't you make a goal today, Scott? I know Jim made 3. Somebody else. You followed the guidelines. Yeah, you just follow the map. Follow the map right there. We've been playing this map, I don't know, since the open house. Right there. Scott made a daily goal. Love it. Hey, congrats to everybody that made some profits today. I'm so pleased, so happy for all of you. I love it. You make me happy. Thank you for sharing that with me. That means a lot. That means what I'm teaching is working. All right? So I love that. So everybody, have a wonderful evening. I hope I feel better tomorrow. We do have a webinar tomorrow. See if I can pull it up. Downloads. All right, so we got a webinar on sectors. Okay, that's our topic. So I come on at 1, Doug's at noon, and Rick's at 2. Okay, so we're going to talk about sectors, how each one of us trades sectors. Okay, so that's our webinar. This is for members. All right, you want to be want to be a member, want to see the webinars, get a subscription. They're only $7. Okay. Right there. All right. Thanks, everybody. Everybody have a beautiful afternoon. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great evening.